Hello everyone, my name is John Harrison. I'd like to welcome you to the practical section of the EP1 class. In this class, we're going to take what we've learned with Professor Pak in the theoretical and apply it into our own mouths and practice it. And I'm excited to start class, and I hope you are too after this long delay. So first, let's talk about the class and what its purpose is. What are you supposed to get out of it? In this class, we're going to develop your English phonological skills and awaken you to the world of phonology in general. We're going to practice pronunciation so you can better understand how to teach English, and it can help you better understand language in general. My study of phonology in university helped me understand my own English a lot more, and I hope this can help you understand your own speaking as well. Also, we're going to start teaching. We're going to start your journey as teachers and develop your skills as a teacher and start exercising those muscles. You're going to have to be in class. You're going to have to attend class. It's just going to have to be that way. Now, this semester, nobody really knows what's going on, but hopefully we can have in-person class very soon. It's quite important also that I don't expect you to be a master at English. That's not your job. This class is here to help you strengthen your English pronunciation, to make you stronger, not weaker, to make you not afraid of it, but to make it afraid of you. About phones in class. Don't. It's just not going to work out if you use your phones in class. If you're chatting on Kakao or Instagram or playing Cookie Run, whatever you play now, I don't know anymore. But your English isn't good enough to play on your phone and listen to me. It's just not going to work. So that's not meant as an insult. That's just how it is for 99.99% of all students and every student I've met so far. Also, be aware that if you look like this in class, what is the one thing that I think you're doing? Nothing good at best. So please don't use your phones. You'll receive one direct warning about phone use. After that, it's just going to come out of your grade. If you choose that, that's your choice. But it's your choice to lose those very easy points. Speaking of grades, how is that going to work? I discovered something last year. There was a bit of misunderstanding, cultural difference, age difference, generational gap, whichever misunderstanding excuse you want to use, we can. From 0 to 100, what do you think your score is right now? What is your grade? I found that many students last year in the past, they answered 100. They thought they were at the top, maximum number of points on the very first day, the very first lesson. To me, it's quite the opposite. Every student starts at 0. So in order to get points, in order to get a good grade, you have to put in the work every day, every class, every lesson. You have to try, show up, do the work, actively participate in class, have a positive attitude in class. All those small parts add up into the 100 points. You don't start at 100 and go down. You start at 0 and go up. One way to think about this is like in a video game or computer game, RPGs especially, but with XP, experience points. When you start the game, you don't start at level 100, you start at level 1 or 0, and the number of XP you have at the very start, 0 XP. So I ask you, how do you get those XP? By playing the game, by showing up every day, depending on the game, by performing tasks. If you do something very big, you get more XP. And the same is true for this class. You do something very big, some wow factor, then that will be reflected in your grade at the end of the semester. All right, so those are the administrative things out of the way. If you have any questions, please ask me over e-class, email, or text. I don't like getting messages over Kakao because often I don't know your names. A lot of students nowadays, they don't put their real names. It's just heart, heart, and then there's a K-pop boy or girl. It's confusing for me. So how to contact me. First, my name is John Harrison. My office is in Jipyeongguan, room 305. I only have classes on Mondays and Tuesdays though, so my office hours are on Monday and Tuesday. From Monday, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and again, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., and on Tuesday, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and again, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. You can also email me at jharrison@cnue.ac.kr. My phone number is listed below as well, there. Please don't call me. You can send me a text message, but please don't call me. If you just call me, I'm not gonna know who you are, and I'm gonna think you're voice phishing or spam, and I'm just not gonna answer it. I don't answer most of my phone calls. If you email me or send me a text message, please write your name, your class, and your major, whether you're an English major or a music major, so I can better help and answer your questions. I teach about 150 students on Monday and Tuesday alone. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to remember all of you immediately just based on your name. So please help me help you. So before we get too far into things, brief introduction of myself. My name for the third time is John Harrison. This is my second year here at Chuncheon Gyode, and I really enjoy it. Before, I taught at the Samyuk Elementary School here in Chuncheon, and before that, I helped work at the Gangwon International Language Institute over in Yangyang. And before that, I worked at middle schools in Seoul. So I have a lot of experience teaching elementary school children in Gangwon Province. I've visited, with my old job, well over 100 elementary schools, especially very small schools, the small satellite schools. The smallest school we ever visited had 2 children. It was wonderfully romantic in the educational sense. So I do have experience teaching adults and middle schoolers. So let's finish with a short introduction on English phonology. I just want us to start thinking about things. So first, nice easy question. How many letters are in the English alphabet? I know, right? Just 26. Now, you don't need to name all of them right now, but that might come up later. How many sounds are in the English language? How many different sounds, individual sounds? That's a harder question to answer. And, are there only 26 sounds? No, there are not. There's a lot more, actually. Before we answer that question, let's go back and think about what English is. Something we need to think about is English. Can you guess where am I from based on my voice? If you said America, that's correct. But which part of America? Because Americans don't talk the same way. I speak differently from my father. And he speaks differently from his father. He speaks differently from President Trump, and President Trump speaks differently from Obama. But they're all American. They're all native English speakers, but they all have different accents. But when we think of American English, we think of something called General American English. And that's what you've been taught in schools. But there's also British English. And most of the time we've learned received pronunciation. That's the upper class British English. But England itself, despite being a small country, has a lot of different accents, different Englishes. If you go up just a little bit, you see Scotland, and then you go west, Ireland, Wales. They have their own kinds of English. Every native-speaking country has their own English. South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, we mentioned. They all have their own. And within each country, they have their own accents based on region, education level, class background. It all matters. So there's no one right English. And that's not even getting into the secondary, what they call the secondary circle of India, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines as well. They all have English, but they speak it differently. So I'm going to use my own English. I'm not going to try to pretend that I can speak accurate accents, but I want you to be aware about what's incorrect or correct English. The only correct English is the one that you understand. And the only correct English that you can speak is the one that other people understand. So your main goal is to understand other speakers and to be understood by other speakers. So don't get too caught up on thinking of what's the one correct answer, because as a global language, there's no one correct answer anymore. In this class, I'm going to ask you to think about your mouth and what your mouth does when you make sounds, when you talk, when you sing. Where does your tongue go? What does your jaw do? What do your lips do? What do your teeth do? Your tongue is a muscle of itself. The front, middle, and back all move when we make different sounds. Also, think about your throat. What is it doing? What we call vocal cords. What are they doing when we make the sounds that we call language? I think you haven't thought about this, or you haven't been asked to think about this before. I wasn't asked to think about it until I was in university itself. So it's something, I'm going to ask you to think about something you've never even considered before. It just happened. So with all that in mind, How many sounds are in English? About 40. About 40. But there's still only 26 letters. All the Englishes still have 26 letters, but different number of sounds. So we're not going to go deep diving into this today, because it's easier to do it in person. But let's think about some examples, and some easier examples of how letters can take on double duties. In this class, you're going to learn about the International Phonetic Alphabet, and you're going to see these strange characters. You've probably seen them before in the dictionary to help us understand pronunciation. But the phonetic character and the English written letter are different things. So it's something to bear in mind that we're going to struggle with a bit to work around, but the phonetic alphabet and the English alphabet are not the same. There are 40 phonetic alphabet characters because each individual sound gets their own letter. But that's not true in the historic English alphabet. So let's take an example. The letter C. What sound does the letter C make? Think about what sound exactly. So they make S and K, K, K. So how do you know when to use S and when to use K? The letter C can be a challenge for beginning learners because you look at it, you don't know what it's supposed to be. A is usually an ah sound, B is always ba, but C, it can be s or k. So take a look at these words below us, or around us, however it may be. How did you know when to use the S sound and when to use the K sound? I'm sure you got it 100% correct, but how did you know? How did I know as a native speaker when I was learning? So it's something that we'll get into later, but I want you to start thinking about it. And this is part of phonology and pronunciation, and we're going to work on this. But it's a bit much for the first session, so don't worry too much. But I want you to start thinking about things, kicking it around. One other thing I want you to be aware of is that Korean and English are not the same. That might be a big shock to you, but they're not. The sounds are different. Let's take an example just to show that even if they are very, very similar, they're not exactly the same. Take this word in English, tomato, tomato. That first sound, that T of tomato. Where does your tongue go? Imagine your tongue, the top of your mouth. For T in English, it goes to the top. What part of your tongue is touching the top of your mouth when you say tomato? Is it the very, very tip, or is it a bit further back? Or further back even more? That's something I want you to start being aware of when you speak. What exactly is your tongue doing? Now, let's consider this word in Korean. Tomato, tomato. Tomato, tomato. Now, for tomato, take the T and take that T sound. What does your tongue do when you say that sound? Is it the same? Is it the same movement, same placement, same part of the tongue touching the top of your mouth as for the English T sound? This is a bit of a fine detail, but I don't think anyone's asked you to think about language in this way yet. So we're going to start nice and easy, wade ourselves into the ocean of pronunciation and phonology, and we'll get into teaching as well, all very exciting stuff. So, thank you for viewing this video. Make sure that you're on eClass. There's class notes on there. There's PowerPoints. There's homework and tasks to do. Hopefully, we'll have a discussion. We're all new to this eClass thing, so please be patient, but be active and participate. Hopefully, we can meet each other very soon. Have a lovely week. Goodbye, and stay safe.